Morning, brothers and sisters. You know, I put a little video on yesterday of a young man with Down syndrome speaking before a committee, really talking about the horrors of the attempted eradication of Down syndrome people in the world. And I have some background to that story, that's why I put it on there. So some may not know that I have a Down syndrome son, and he's 31, he'll be 32 this year. His name is Daniel, the love of my life, our life. And but you know, it didn't stop when Daniel was born. But Daniel was born on a Friday, and we were in our late 20s, my wife and I, and we had lost our first son, and our second son was burned very badly when he was 2 years old, 60%, third-degree burns. And so when I became a Christian at 26, and I found out that Angie was pregnant a couple of years later, I was really excited because everything was going to go right, you see. Because I was right with the Lord, and everything was right with the world, so to speak. There was going to be a little girl. I'd always want a little girl. All of these are the things that was going to be. And then on the Friday, Daniel was born by C-section, and I see the lady looking at the other lady, and but you know that look, something not right. And turns out Daniel was Down syndrome. They knew right away, there was no question. And so I went home that day. Daniel was very sick and was taken to Children's Hospital, Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City, Missouri. And Angie was in another hospital because she'd had a C-section. And I remember going home that night, and early hours in the morning, because I was it was Saturday morning, probably 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. I got home, and I'll be honest with you, I was dismayed. I wasn't full of joy that a child had been born. I was dismayed. And I had a list of names to call about the happy event. Yeah, a list of numbers before cell phones. And I had a list of numbers to call, and I looked at that list. I thought about calling these numbers, but no way. I just crumpled that list up and I threw it in the corner. And I crawled into bed. And I felt my heart getting really hard in this whole situation. So I go to church on a Sunday morning, big church, probably 3,000 people, a kind of early mega church, Filthy Church of Love, and kind of stadium seating, big long line of seats on a curve, and usually I would sit at the aisle, somewhere near the back. That was my want. I got there late that morning because I'd been up all night, the night before. And there was only 2 seats right in the middle of one of these aisles, one of these rows. And so I made my way, disturbing people, and sat down, and there was, seat beside me empty, fairly unusual. And my prayer to the Lord was, Lord, you have to help me. I need your help. And so the hymn came on, the God will make a way where there seems to be no way. And I thought that's an encouraging start. And but then the music stopped, which is unusual. Pentecostal church, probably 20, 30 minutes at least, the worship every time. Hear one song and we stop, and I realized why. Because this morning, maybe twice a year, there was baby dedication morning, and this morning was baby dedication morning. And I thought, oh, the irony. And these people come up with their beautiful babies, and people were oohing and ahhing, and I wasn't oohing and ahhing. I was just sitting there with my own thoughts. And then the worship came back on, and there was tears coming down my face. I wasn't crying out loud or anything, just tears. I would imagine that the person next to me wouldn't be able to know that even I was crying unless they turned around and looked at my face. And yet, within a couple of minutes, I got a tap on my shoulder from, there was an empty seat, and the person on the next seat hands me a note, and I look at the note, and the note says, I couldn't help notice you were crying. Is there anything I can pray with you about? And I looked to the end of this, way over there, at the end of this aisle, pew, and in the aisle stands this young woman, 18, 19, 20, pretty young girl, and she's looking at me, and of course there's an empty seat beside me. I go, oh, didn't want to talk to anybody, but there's the empty seat, and I nodded, and she came over, she made her way through and sat down, and she sat down, and she says to me, what's wrong? And I said, well, I've just had a son, and he has Down syndrome. And she looks at me confused. okay? She looked at me confused, and I was irritated, I'll be honest with you. I was irritated because I'm supposed to explain to this young girl what Down syndrome is. I don't even really know what it is myself, but as I was looking at her brothers and sisters, as I was looking at her face, suddenly it turned into the face of the Lord. Even though I couldn't see any features, I knew I was looking at the Lord. He had a confused look on his face. And he says to me, Frank, I don't know what Down syndrome is either. All I know is I have given you a perfect gift from the treasures of heaven. And I'll tell you, brothers and sisters, my heart exploded with love right there, right in the genesis of that moment. I have given you a perfect gift from the treasures of heaven. My God had pronounced Daniel to be perfect and to be a gift, and not just a gift, but from the treasures of heaven. And about a year and a half ago, when my mum was praying, this is 30 years later, my mum was praying, she said she got a word from the Lord, and he said to her, and that's where Daniel's going back to when he's finished here on earth. He's going right back to where he came from the treasures of heaven. And so maybe you can understand my passion on the subject of Down syndrome and the beauty of these people who have an extra chromosome. They have something extra. Love and kindness and looking at the world through the Lord's eyes. They're beautiful people. And my son is perfect. And God made him that way and gave him to me. Isn't that marvelous?